Hey, what's up, guys? It is Slick or Slickmuff here, back again with another video talking about Rocksteady's next game, which is and has been leaked to be a Superman game. Whether that is the case, TBD. Hopefully we'll find out at E3, but there's no guarantee that that is the case. But in any event, I want to talk about whether or not I want Rocksteady to make a Superman game. A lot of people have said they would rather see a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game or like a Green Arrow game or a Flash game or something like that. And I do want to see those games, but to be honest with you, I would like to see a Superman game in particular from Rocksteady. The answer is actually really simple. It's because Rocksteady is the only studio that I trust in video games today to actually make a Superman game. WB Montreal, it's nothing against them. It's not that they're a bad studio per se, but I mean, Rocksteady is clearly, one of the best superhero video game development studios of all time. I would argue the best ever. Okay, so the Batman Arkham Games are the best superhero video games ever made in my humble opinion. There have been some excellent Spider-Man games. I know that that is going to be a statement that is rebuked by many, but that's just my personal opinion. But what you can't really dispute is that Rocksteady is an incredibly talented studio, and they do an excellent job at producing quality content. So here's the crossroads that we're at. We either have a somewhat reasonable possibility of a decent Superman video game being made with Rocksteady. Yes, it could flop, it could be bad, but really with Rocksteady, I have pretty high faith. Otherwise, we could have some other studio down the line make a Superman game, try and fail miserably because they're just not as good of a developer as Rocksteady is. And the fact of it is, Rocksteady is the only studio that I trust to actually make a Superman game. For this reason alone, I really would like to see Superman done by Rocksteady and really nothing else, because a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, a Green Arrow game, I think another studio could do that game and do that game well. You know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I just don't care about. I was never into that as a kid. Contrarily, Flash, I would love to see a Flash game, but once again, or a Green Arrow game. But I think that the greatest challenge in terms of superheroes and making a superhero video game would be Superman. He's incredibly powerful. Many people think that his character is uninteresting and boring, and Rocksteady is the only sort of studio with the narrative chops that I think to make the game work on the narrative level, but also with the gameplay prowess to make the game work on a gameplay level. So when it comes to any other studio doing this, I simply just wouldn't trust them. And I know that if Rocksteady is not making this Superman game now, I don't think any studio is going to take it upon themselves to make it, especially at the high standards that we set for game development today. So basically the way that I look at it, honestly, is that it's now or never, in the sense that if we don't get a Superman game, this game from Rocksteady, this upcoming title that they're working on, then we're not going to get one for a long time until a studio comes along that's competent enough. And even so, they're not going to give a Superman game to a studio that's terrible. They've had so many terrible Superman games in the past, and Rocksteady really is the only one that I trust to make a quality Superman game. So my long story short is that I really would like to see a Rocksteady game, Superman game. I would rather see it than any other alternative of what they could make. Now this begs the question: how do you actually make a Superman game? Superman is a god among men. On Earth, he has unbelievable superpowers. He's bulletproof. He's basically invincible. Kryptonite is his weakness, of course. And broadly, people say that magic is his weakness. I'm not necessarily convinced that that's the case. Magic is a big thing. Like, I mean, if Superman's gonna fight Zatanna, I mean, he's gonna kick her ass. So, like, I don't really know what they mean by magic is his weakness. Yes, it is to some degree, because magic in the DC universe can, like, debilitate almost anybody, so I don't really know what that means. But anyway, his big weakness is kryptonite, is my point. So can you make a Superman game, and can you really bring this god down to a level of how you program this god that can do anything to a controller? A controller has, how many buttons? 15 or so in total, with L1, R1, etc. How do you really actually bring him down to Earth? Like, literally, how do you really make this character playable? And the answer is you have to depower him in some way. I know people have said that you don't have to do that. You don't have to depower him. It's, whatever. They can make it work. No, you can't. You just can't. If you're looking at Superman at his peak, like the strongest that he can be in the comics or what have you, once again, I mean, he's invincible. You know, unless you can incorporate kryptonite into the mix, or like every single enemy having kryptonite, there's nothing that can beat him. He's bulletproof. He's invincible. He can fly around the world in a matter of seconds. He can just do all these things. There's no way you can make a game for him. It's just not possible. There's no way you can make a Superman game without him being depowered. And not only depowered, but depowered significantly. So this is not saying that he can't fly. Obviously, Superman has to be able to fly. This is not saying that he can't shoot laser beams or you know, breathe wind or, you know, snow or ice, whatever. You know what I mean? But this is to say that he can't take out as many enemies at one time as he would be able to otherwise, and nor is it the case that he can fly as fast as he would be able to otherwise, or move as quickly as he would be able to otherwise. I would say that there's a possibility that you could only slightly depower him. But really, when you're looking at it and his raw like power strength and his raw power set, you have to depower it to some degree. This is not to say you cannot make an excellent Superman game with a depowered Superman. There's some way in the plot you can incorporate it. For instance, at the beginning of the game, he's depowered in some way, some magic or some bullshit like that, and boom, you have a story. He becomes increasingly more powerful as time goes on. You can have an unlock system like Batman Arkham, where you unlock certain abilities that make him more powerful, such that he can fly faster, for instance. And that's the way that you could do it to really make this game feasible. Otherwise, I don't see that the game is particularly feasible or attainable in terms of bringing the comic book Superman to life in a video game. It hasn't worked thus far. I think studios are going to struggle with how to make a game engaging. If you want to check in the description below, I'll link my video where I react to old Superman games. It's just doing very mundane things like rescuing people that are like on a bridge, and he pretty much has no realistic threats. You like fly around and there's like a meteor strike that's gonna hit Metropolis, and you like fly around and shoot meteors. I mean, it's just boring. There's nothing to do because Superman's just too powerful. So you have to depower him. That's the plain and simple way, and that's totally fine. That's not a negative to the game. It's not like, oh, this is not a real Superman game because we have to depower Superman. No, I don't see it that way at all. It's just really the only way that you can actually bring the game to life. It's the only way you can make it work, okay? So this is not a negative thing. And the other thing that you can do is incorporate it into the Batman Arkhamverse. I would highly recommend that they do this. I think that they will do this. Granted, I think that there's going to be very light allusions to the Batman Arkhamverse. I think that it would be even cooler to actually incorporate the games in a more profound way. For instance, having challenge maps, you could be both Batman and Superman would be quite intriguing, especially if Superman is depowered to the degree that I mentioned before. Or them having kryptonite villain, or you know kryptonite thugs, for instance. So you could have a challenge map that is actually obtainable, where you have to switch between Batman and Superman to take out certain enemies, that kind of thing. Perhaps this is kind of like, I don't know, just like a fanboy like dream of mine that isn't really attainable in a game. I don't really know. But anyway, my point being is that they can heavily incorporate this game into the Arkhamverse, and I hope that they do that. So anyway, guys, that is the video. I hope you'll have enjoyed. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you want to see from Rocksteady's video game here in the next year or so. Let me know in the comment section below. My name is Slickmoth. I'll see you guys in the next video.